Hey, the Cardinals just had their end of the season press conference announcing major changes coming in St. Louis, with the biggest of all being Chaim Bloom is set to succeed John Mozeliak as the president of baseball operations following the 2025 season, where he'll
Yeah.
oversee baseball operations this year. We'll talk about all this in this reaction episode of Dealing the Cards. Hey, Sandy, how are you feeling post press conference?
It was so quick.
It was pretty
It was
quick.
like 26 minutes.
I expected, I was like, an hour probably seems too long, but I thought at least 30 minutes would go. But I mean, here we are.
They took like 10 questions and they were like, all right, that's enough. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah, I'm not shocked. And honestly, like, they're probably not ready to talk about a lot of that stuff yet. Here's one quick thing I'll say. For the most part, I agree with the frustration in the chat that they kind of avoided some of the harder questions. But I liked how Mo stepped in, because DeWitt was like, oh, we're not ready to talk about what payroll will look like. And Mozeliak stepped in and was like, okay, we need to tell that. He basically was like, we need to tell them it's going down. Yeah. And so I appreciate that transparency there. It doesn't mean I agree with it. Doesn't mean I'm defending it, but I appreciate that Mo stepped in on that. But the big thing that I think everyone should care the most about is Chaim Bloom is officially the successor to John Mozeliak. And for me, it's an exciting thing to hear, even though we've kind of speculated it, because there was this potential weird scenario where they didn't have a plan yet for what life after Mo looked like, and that he was in the role, and maybe it's Bloom, maybe it's something else. There were people who weren't sure if Bloom would even take the job. And now we have confirmation that Bloom wants to be here in St. Louis. He's going to oversee player development. When Bill DeWitt was asked why he didn't necessarily go promote him right away, they talked a little bit. I mean, he gave Mo his flowers a little bit there, held his water, saying he's a good GM and can kind of figure things out. But he also talked about, which I think is partially fair, that you have, like, if player development is the big issue, give Bloom a year to kind of go all out making the changes. And then after he feels comfortable with where they're at, then you step into the full role. It's not like Mo is not going to run these things by him. They're not like, it doesn't mean they can't disagree on things, and Mo might do some things differently. But when you have a succession plan that you're trying to lay out like this, Bloom is going to speak into those things. He just might not be the day-to-day guy doing that stuff, but there's no way it's like, oh, Bloom, you don't get to make the call here because I'm still here.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it could, but that would be idiotic. But what are your thoughts right now on Bloom succeeding John Mozeliak next year?
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Yes,
I honestly because a few weeks ago we were like, oh yeah, there's no way it's not. And then all of a sudden yesterday we were like, wait. And I feel like I had some doubts coming into today. And this just dispels the doubts. We were right. It's good. We can move on. Chaim Bloom's the guy. That's great. And honestly, it'll be kind of nice that, I don't know, a lot of the less plugged in fans won't associate this year of losing with Chaim, which will be good for him building goodwill with people in 2026 and beyond. Yeah. So I'll say that. I think that's something that's good for him, because if Chaim comes in and they're like, yeah, Chaim is the guy, and the very first thing he does is trade Contreras, Arenado. Basically, if you see a jersey at the stadium of a current player, if that guy's gone, like everyone that you would have bought a jersey for, people would not like him very much. So
yeah,
it's good to not put that on him, I guess.
Yeah, that was one of my things this morning before the press conference. I threw out on Twitter thinking I was going to get a bunt or X, whatever. I thought I was going to get torn to shreds by this. And then a lot of people were like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, the Mookie debacle is what Chaim is most well known for, I would say.
And so, again, I started this thread by saying keeping John Mozeliak in his position is a bad idea, especially from a PR perspective. Even if you want to believe, and even if I think they're actually transitioning this, but the fan base just is not going to trust that, right? They're going to see Mo in that position, and this whole year they're going to be like, why does Mo still have a job? And they can't change anything about that at this point. And so the fact that they are just going to keep the plan going and keep him in the role is a terrible decision. And I think at this point he should step away from the operations. Yeah. With that being said, a silver lining I see of this is, if Bloom had to step in and his very first year as president of baseball operations, they drop payroll, they trade away significant veterans, and they potentially have a really bad season. There's a world where they win 80-something games again. I do not see them making the playoffs, but there's a world where they're a pretty good club with the young talent, but there's also a world where they're terrible.
It's bad.
And so the plugged in fans that are interested in Bloom will understand that he kind of had to do some of this because he inherited a mess. But a lot of some plugged in fans are going to be like, well, look what he did in Boston. He traded Mookie Betts away. They cut payroll and they're a mediocre team now. And they're going to associate those things. And then definitely the fans who aren't plugged in, who are like, oh, I'm just going to quickly do a search of this Chaim Bloom guy. Oh, he traded Mookie Betts. Oh, and now he's trading Arenado and Gray and Contreras. It's like, what is this guy?
Yeah, it's like this guy hates winning. That's There's a lot of fans too. Like, I feel like a lot of fans that are watching this show right now that watch Presser, you're in the minority of baseball fans in general. If you're here,
yep.
Like, fans here are plugged in. We're plugged in fans too. Like, we want to know what's going on. We're interested. We're thinking about the future. There are a lot of fans that I know well that watch the games. They enjoy when the Cardinals win. They hate when the Cardinals lose, but that's like their relationship to the team.
Yep.
So they're not thinking about who's in the farm system, or they're not thinking about, why Chaim Bloom's hands are tied coming into this organization, or why trading Contreras, your best hitter, might be a good idea. They're not thinking about that.
Yeah. And especially they might know a couple prospects, but they're definitely not thinking of the play, like what it means to go into player development, right? They're not thinking of the infrastructure there. They're not thinking of the philosophy and the processes. They're just looking at Randy Rosarina being good somewhere else and Jordan Walker and Dylan Carlson not being good here. And I'm not blaming people for that. Not every person in the world needs to be super plugged into a baseball team. But from their perspective, again, I don't think this is why they made that decision at all. But I do think it's a silver lining of the decision that I think, again, I would much rather Bloom have to just step into the role now and take some of those punches. But for his sake, I do think it's helpful for the casual fan to not associate Chaim Bloom with all this stuff, because the casual fan is not even going to know that Chaim Bloom's a successor. And even if they do, they're not going to associate like, oh, he must have made these changes. They're going to blame Mo. So it's like, why not have the year, basically the third year from hell in a row, be Mo? He steps away, and then Bloom, the knight in shining armor, gets to come in with the young roster and all
100%.
that. And so I don't think they're intentionally doing this. I think it might be in the back of their mind, but they are kind of setting up Chaim well from a PR perspective. But again, I think Bloom should just take over now.
I totally agree. And I would love to see his influence. I just hope we see his fingerprints all over this offseason. I hope we just see Bloom moves. Like last offseason when we were kind of like, is he the guy? What's going on? And you almost knew he was the guy because of some of the moves they made. Like the Ryan Fernandez thing, you're like, that just has to be Chaim.
Yeah.
That felt really nice. So I hope we see some of that this offseason. That would make me really happy.
For sure. Well, we want to get into the Michael Girsch side of things because that was interesting. I kind of thought that would happen, and then it's cooled off. Anyways, there's some stuff we want to get to, but real quick, just want to thank you for tuning in right now. Like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton. We're going to continue to break down this press conference. Again, tomorrow, Kareem and Sandy will go have an episode about the farm system and maybe some of the ramifications of what all this means for it. We go live twice a week over on here, talk all things Cardinal baseball. So we really appreciate the support. And we also want to thank one of our sponsors, 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. 314 is located at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet, open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards. They have the newest selections of box sets, packs, single cards. So if you want any kind of baseball cards, Pokemon cards, all that kind of stuff, check out 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles, as they've got a great selection there. So let's talk the Michael Girsch side of things. So he's moved into a role that's not super clear, but basically is the VP of special projects. And based on who's like tweeted it out, some have made it sound like it's another kind of GM role. So he's not necessarily like no longer a GM, but his specialization is no longer like the assistant GM, or the GM and vice president, but now he's like, Randy Flores is technically a GM. I think Gary LaRocque was technically a GM. They have another one too. I always blank on his name. He oversees the international side of things.
Too many GMs.
But actually, that's how baseball has actually moved in that direction. There's a plurality of leadership. So what we do know is Chaim is basically now, in theory, a GM, and he is overseeing player development, and he's going to hire the next farm director, so Gary LaRocque's role, and then he will step into Mo's role. I don't know what this means for Michael Girsch long term. I don't know if this is kind of like, hey, we have a role for you, but long term, you might want to go somewhere else to find a GM role or something like that.
Yeah.
It kind of, I remember when we talked to Jeff Jones, he talked about there's a world where Chaim Bloom, where John Mozeliak goes down and oversees the Jupiter project. It kind of sounds like that might be what they're doing with Michael Girsch, and then some other stuff. And depending
Go
on who you
live in
talk
Jupiter for the year.
hey, that's a nice,
so tough.
that's a nice severance package if I've ever been told one. But depending who you talk to, though, like people who are plugged in, again, I'm not talking about like, I mean, you can call us Mo defenders all you want, but people who specifically, I won't name the name, but there's someone who's very anti-Mo, who's actually been very pro-Girsch and talked about how his hands have been kind of tied and he hasn't really been allowed to do some of the things from a baseball analytics standpoint you'd want. I don't know where I stand on Michael Girsch because it's just really hard to understand that.
Well, we don't have any data points for Michael Girsch. Like, it's just kind of a weird thing. Michael Girsch has been in a prominent role with the Cardinals for a long time, and we haven't, like, we just don't know what he does. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, but that's how it feels to me. It feels like, as someone outside the organization looking in, I have no idea what he's responsible for and what he's not.
Front office go Bloom. That's amazing.
Please do. I'm so ready for this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I am too. Like, and again, they weren't going to get into specifics. There's no way they're going to confirm they were trading certain players today. But for Mozeliak to confirm payroll's going to go down, for them to talk about transition year.
I'll just say, when they said payroll was going to go up, it didn't. When they said payroll was going to go down, it definitely will. You know, they wouldn't lie about that.
Well, payroll did go up. It just didn't go up like we thought it should.
So I know, marginally.
I know.
It's so ridiculous.
I'm not defending it, but we can't say it didn't.
I know,
because that's the thing that they get mad at.
They lied in spirit. It was a lie in spirit.
Yes, that's fair, but they don't see it as in spirit. They see it as technicalities, and so they're going to be like, it did go up. So you can't, like, if you say you lied to us, then they're going to be like, what are you talking about?
We didn't lie at all. I get that. No,
so it's like you have to be you have to be like,
what if it technically goes down by $287,000?
I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No. What do you think the payroll is going to drop to? Because I was doing some math in my head. We ran something around 170 for the last few years. I think Goldie, 30 coming off the books. Arenado, potentially close to 30 coming off the books. Gray is 15 from this year, but 25 from next year.
Yeah.
So we'll just say 15. I mean, it's a lot of money. Gibson and Lynn are 20 combined. Michaelis potentially is 10 million coming off if you can trade part of that contract. Matz is 10 million coming off the books. Fetty is 6 million coming off the books. You could be talking about a payroll that's like bottom 6 to 8 in baseball.
Oh, I don't think that low. I don't think it's like they're not having.
You think it could go under $100 million?
No. I don't think it goes under 100. I think it probably goes like 130, 120. That's a $40 million drop right there. Like,
but Goldie and Arenado alone account for almost 60.
But I mean, you have to. I mean, I know it's not huge, but you do have to take into account arbitration raises. And I don't think they're not going to make any moves. I just don't think payroll going down doesn't mean they're not bringing in anyone. I don't think it's anyone's significance. I don't see it going under 100. That would be a huge shift.
I'm doing the math, and it feels like that's where we're headed. Because if you cut that much payroll, right? If you cut 30.
But I also don't know 20, if they're getting rid of all of them.
True. But even if you just like, if we keep some, but you cut Goldie and Arenado right there. You cut
but you're not
Gibson.
Getting, like, even if you get rid of Arenado, you're not eating. You're eating some of that contract. You're eating some of Gray's contract. You're eating some of Michaelis's contract.
Do you think you have to eat some of Gray's contract?
Yeah, if you want something good back.
If you want something good, that's fair.
I mean, they could salary dump it.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're getting rid of just Goldie, all of it's off the books. Lynn and Gibson, all of it's off the books. Right? That's already 50 right there. Even if you're eating some of the Arenado contract, even if you're eating, I don't think you have to eat much of Contreras at all. Helsley is a pretty sizable ARB salary, which I think makes up for most of the ARB gains you're going to have, because the guys in ARB were terrible this year for the most part.
Yeah.
They couldn't stay healthy. Like, Newbar can come and say he wants a lot of money in ARB. I don't think the Cardinals have to give it to him because he's been hurt 6 times in the last 2 years. You know?
Yeah.
Gorman's still pre-ARB. But like when he hits ARB, he's gonna have a real tough time.
Wait, no, I think Gorman hits his first year of ARB now.
He's gonna have a tough time making any money in ARB.
I mean, but also too, like, I'm not saying I don't know what they're gonna do, but they could explore, especially with payroll going down. They would be wise to do this. I don't know if they will, they'd be wise to explore an extension for a Mason Wynn type.
Yes.
Or
That'd be great.
Donovan at this point, I feel like
That'd
is
be
a good
great.
extension candidate. Guys where they could give them some more money up front. So in the next few years, when they want to raise payroll, they're making a little bit less. Again, maybe as you talk it through, sure, I guess it could go below 100 million, but
I
that
hope it
just
doesn't.
seems
It seems drastic.
80 million decrease sounds
Yeah.
wild.
It does. But like, I'm just thinking about the fact that you could have, the math says you could have 120 million come off the books. The Cardinals could drop that much payroll if they trade everybody and add nothing. If you drop that much, I'm not sure how they add 50 million this offseason. Like, I just don't see where they even commit that much.
Well, I also just don't think. I mean, we'd have to sit down and do the math, but I don't think they could even move 120 off because again, you're going to have to eat money in those contracts if you're moving them. Also, at this point, I don't know if they do move a Michaelis because if you're moving Gray already,
you might as well,
and you're not bringing back Lynn and Gibson, then like again, like you want Matthews to pitch at some point. But like you don't need to rush him into the rotation. The plan shouldn't be he has to start opening day. He should make the rotation, and they could easily cut Michaelis after spring training if they want to. But like the only guys that like you're like, okay, they should have a rotation spot next year is Palante and McGreevy. And then I mean Fetty's probably they could trade Fetty though. I think at this point it's more. I feel like it's even more likely they keep Michaelis than it was before because
I think you're right.
If you're trading off all these other guys and eating money where you could get actual value, why would you necessarily do that with Michaelis when you don't have like set? I mean, because you also account for injuries. So like,
you're right.
And I don't think they want to tank. Like, I don't think they're trying to be the worst team in baseball next year. And if they were, then sure, move Michaelis off. I mean, that sounds weird to say you keep Michaelis to not be the worst team in baseball. That's a weird statement I just said. But again, like I think they want to try and be competitive. That's a rotation spot. That's where honestly they don't waste money there, I guess. Then I mean, I guess you technically save money if you get anyone to take any off of it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I don't know. I still would like to see them move Michaelis, but
yeah, I still do too. I just think now that I know they're going to move some of these other guys, it makes sense roster crunch wise to potentially have them around if you're not trying to win, especially because like I would rather trade Eric Fetty than trade Miles Michaelis because you can get something for Eric Fetty.
Yeah.
You can't get anything from Miles Michaelis and you save money on Fetty. So like you save that 7 million, which is probably about, I mean, a little bit less than what you're trying to save on Michaelis maybe. So then it's like, well, then I can actually get something for this guy.
Yeah. Well, there's like an outside chance that Michaelis is fine and can get you something and save you money at the deadline. Yeah. It's not high, but like Michaelis still at a 4.2 FIP. Like if his ERA normalizes next year and he has a 4.4 and is, giving a team volume, like I would trade a top 30 prospect for that.
Yeah, I mean, like John Lester got Lane Thomas, so like it was a bad trade from the Cardinals, but like still, like there's a world where Miles Michaelis is okay and slightly below average, and a team needs innings down the stretch, and they target him for not necessarily the lane. I mean, Lane Thomas became Lane Thomas, but at that time, Lane Thomas was like, "Ooh, whatever."
Yeah, exactly. You get a lottery ticket. Just real quick, what do you think the Cardinals went in games Michaelis started this year?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna guess, and because you're saying this, that they had an over 500 record.
What do you think they went?
I'll just say they were 4 games above 500 with Michaelis.
They were 500 even with Michaelis.
500. Okay, I gave him more credit.
I mean, yeah, but the point is like Michaelis isn't necessarily like the biggest losing pitcher of all time. Like it was bad. The way he got to being bad was really different than the way like Wainwright, for example, got to being bad.
Yeah,
like Wainwright got to being bad by actually losing way too many games, winning very, very few, and having the Cardinals be horrendous in his last season. Whereas like when Michaelis pitched, the Cardinals were mid. And I think if you get a 500 record on days that your 5th starter starts, like that's not terrible.
Yeah.
A lot of good teams would probably take that. And that's why I think you still potentially could move Michaelis and not eat all of it.
Yeah. But, hey, this is a good suggestion from John. Michaelis can do batting practice to build everyone's confidence. That's how you get the young bats developed.
Just let Michaelis throw them sinkers that don't sink.
Hey, something. Okay, I was about to ask you, and then I thought of this, and I haven't been. Trying to pay attention to the chat, but I don't think anyone said this yet, which I think is really interesting. I was about to ask you, Sandy, what was missing from this press conference? What did you want to hear? And I realized they did not address the coaching staff at all.
Oh,
like unless I missed it, I don't think they talked about it at all.
I think you're right. I tuned in a couple minutes after it started, but I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, they didn't say anything to that part. That's for sure. There was a couple times where I was trying to tweet something and I accidentally lost the feed for like 2 seconds, but there's no way they like only talked about it for 2 seconds. So Here's the official segment. Wait, what was it?
New official segment, Sandy defends mediocre. Hey, you know what? I'll take it. Mediocrity would win more baseball games than bad.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like a Miles Michaelis can have a little bit of value for a team like the Dodgers when they have 20
Correct.
arms down and they're already going to make the playoffs and they just need a guy to give them innings. He has no value to a team like the Cardinals. And again, it's not trying to act like Miles Michaelis is a good player.
Yeah. I just think Miles
anyways.
Michaelis, I think there are a lot of Cardinals players that get more hate than they deserve. That's why I step in and defend the Kyle Leahys and Miles Michaelises of the world.
Well, those are two guys that are bold takes to defend, my man. Kareem asked, did they mention if Mo would have an advisory role through 2025? Not to my knowledge. And also, like, I think
I'm like assuming he will, but
potentially they've talked about this before. Other people that like Mo isn't necessarily a guy that, I mean, there's some guys that are going to be baseball lifers, and there's a world where John Mozeliak goes and does something else, where he jumps into like the business world and he has other interests in mind. That was something that's been talked about years ago when they talked about potentially joining the ownership group or something like that. Andrew,
what's up? Come on.
What up? How's it going?
How we doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. What's your reactions? Let's just give it to us.
DeWitt bad. Chaim good.
Good. This guy's good.
There you go.
Man,
we like it.
I love the takes. Oh man. We were just talking about how there was no mention about the major league staff. Like they didn't address. I mean, I think they talked about all he's coming back, but I don't even know if they said that. And then they didn't address like if they're re-signing their hitting coaches, which Brandon Allen and Turner Ward both have their contracts. I expected them to obviously keep Ollie because they've said that, but to keep Dusty Blake and to keep some of the ancillary staff. But I expected them to talk about if they weren't going to bring back some of those guys. So is that concerning to you guys at all? Like, I think it is, but no, nothing.
I mean, Ollie's staying, right? They've kind of confirmed that.
Yeah, but like they didn't address Turner Ward or anything.
Well, they had like 20 minutes. Like I don't think the press conference went that long.
That's what I'm saying.
I was in a meeting for like the last 10 minutes
like
of it. I came out of the meeting
19 minutes of
like,
questions.
Yeah.
Over.
To be fair, they might not have because some people have expressed there's mutual interest, which is incredible. I cannot believe that. But since there's a mutual interest between Ward and the front office, maybe they're not addressing that yet because they have not figured that out yet.
There should be no way Ward is still here. Yeah, like, I actually can't believe it. This is one of the most shocking things. All season, I just wanted Ward to quit because the Cardinals weren't going to fire him. But this is unbelievable. If Turner Ward, who was responsible for I would say no offense, like the Cardinals weren't the worst offense in baseball, but they might have been the worst offense with actual expectations.
Yeah.
No, there's maybe nobody that underachieved more, and there are 29 other ball clubs. That's terrible.
Yeah. A couple comments I'm going to try to do this more as we're going through. Ken Roberts, long term, this is so positive. I agree. 2025 might be wonky though. Kareem, they need to add more roles to the coaching staff. If that happens, I don't have as much of a problem with it. Makes sense to me. I think that's one of the things they've highlighted. They started to add more roles this offseason or this past year for the major league coaching staff, but not many. They're still understaffed there, and they're definitely understaffed in the minor leagues. But now that we know Bloom is Pobo next year, you would think he would be able to give influence on if he wants Ward as his hitting coach or not.
I would hope he doesn't want him.
So, I don't know how Bloom feels about Ollie, but if Bloom didn't like Ollie, I think Ollie'd be gone right now. But I don't know. Maybe they're like, hey, I don't think we'll be able to bring in the right manager next year for our future, so we're going to keep him for a year. Then I'll bring in my guy once we've gotten through this weird rebuilding year. But yeah, also this is a great point from Cody. Chaim didn't really pull punches. Like he did a very kind way where he was like, I'm complimentary to the organization, but then he was like, they're behind the times.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
He acknowledged that they're not he basically said it like in throwing it out there, but not saying they were this team, but he said like to the effect of when you're not on top of your game in this business, you fall behind. And what that told me is that he's thinking like Mozeliak in this front office or not necessarily like the most proactive and on top of their game that they should have been, which I think is a major indictment on them.
Yeah, Mo kind of admitted to it after that too. Like a little bit. Mo kind of was like, hey, things were going really well here. Or DeWitt certainly admitted to it. DeWitt was like, things were going really well. And so we just kind of kept doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. He didn't admit wrongdoing, but he definitely said that's what was happening.
Yeah. I did think it was weird.
Completely unrelated. Are you guys seeing what's going on in Atlanta right now? It's an absolute bloodbath.
I heard that it's like someone tweeted out that's like Alabama, Georgia, so I assumed it's a good game.
Atlanta took the lead in the 8th, and then Lindor just hit a 2-run homer.
Oh my gosh! So now they're up by 1.
Now they're up by 1.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh! Because the Mets went up
Imagine that.
6. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, that's
Good for
I
baseball.
wasn't paying attention.
Oh, what if the Cardinals were playing today?
Oh, here we go. Katie Wu to clarify more on Girsch. The Cardinals will not hire a new general manager. They'll likely wait until Bloom takes over in 2025. Mozeliak will oversee both responsibilities for now. Okay, and they are calling this a reassignment for Michael Girsch, Vice President of Special Projects. And so, yeah, he basically is going to do what Jeff Jones thought Mo might do, which is oversee the spring training complex.
Really funny. Hey, you know what? Boy. It's about time they had someone oversee it because it's just not happening right now.
Oh, man.
How many years ago were they going to build that new spring training complex?
Oh, they stayed after to talk more. So there's some other stuff coming out. I'm going to try and see. It's been a while. Mo basically said they're not, well, this is a weird way to put it. Frank Casimano said they won't be trading high draft picks as much in the future, which I think is what he means is they won't be signing guys with draft picks attached to them.
Great. Great.
Baseball operations budget will be expanded. Payroll go down. My guess with that is, I mean, it might be a long-term thing, but they definitely mean more so like this off season. You shouldn't expect them to do something like that. Oh my gosh, this screen grab from Derek Gold. I'm gonna tweet it out. His reaction to Mo.
So tough that we lost a draft pick for Sonny Gray. Now he's gone in 1 year.
And Contreras too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If on Twitter you're following me, check this out. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh. My audio is weird right now, but I'm gonna tweet this out. His face, something.
Is my audio being bad?
Actually insane. So you guys keep going. I gotta fix my headset here.
You sound just fine, Josh.
Is my audio bad?
I think it's Sandy's audio. Can you hear me?
My audio sounds fine.
I don't know. This is what happens when we have last minute stream.
Yeah, that's so true. But hey, it had to be. Well, yeah. I guess like what's the way forward now? Like, I don't know. These changes, it felt like they were inevitable and now they're here, which is really nice. But what happens next? You know, I don't know.
The Cardinals are going to be pretty bad next year, but you know.
How bad? You want to put some win totals out there and see who's closest at the end of next season?
I feel like we need to see what actually happens this offseason.
Nope. You have to guess right now. I think this is more fun.
All right. I'll say 78 wins.
That's a pretty good number.
I'll say 73.
I'm going to go with 79.
Okay. So
it's so hard to know.
He's going to get it wrong because he's right in the middle.
Hey, what if it's 77 wins though? Then Josh wins.
Yeah, I know.
It's true.
It is really hard to know. I don't know. I think the Cardinals want to win some games next year. They have to.
Agreed.
I think you're starting to risk like actually long-term alienating fans.
Yeah, I need you guys to see this picture of Derek Gold. I just tweeted out. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, I don't know what Mo said to make him do that, but it's incredible. Oh my gosh.
Also, did you guys see the stat I sent to you earlier today? Really quickly, one more moratorium on the season.
No,
the Cardinals, like last batter of the game or whatever, they had the lowest slugging percentage in all of baseball. So like. That's a good way to quantify how unclutch they were. They slugged like 157 on last hitter of the game when they were trailing, which was lower than anyone else. They also had like the second lowest OPS in those scenarios. So bad.
Ooh, this is also of note. Chaim's 5-year deal starts next offseason, so it's actually a 6-year deal.
So I tweeted that out wrong.
No, it's true. It's a 5-year extension for the Pobo, but that is a separate extension than him coming on this next year in his current role. When Mozeliak was asked about on-field expectations for 2025, he says,
I got it.
He goes, it's incredible. He goes, I'd prefer not to answer that because I don't know what our roster is going to look like today. That's what I just said. I don't want to give a prediction. Chat, what are you thinking? Win predictions for next year. Kareem, you thinking like 55 wins then?
Kareem wants them to lose a lot.
Oh man. Oh, well, there goes.
No. I see 82, 79. Yeah, that's more where I am. I think they're going to be okay. The other thing is, I think there is a real chance that Kareem says 0-162. I think there's a real chance that if they just play the young guys, they're going to be almost as good.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what. It's
don't think
definitely
they're
the
incredibly
range of
bad.
outcomes that they are basically the same team next year because of the young talent, but it's also in the range of outcomes that they win like 60 something games. This is going to be a really hard team to predict. But I don't
Yes.
know. Like, I want to hear from like Gould at some point, like tank for Caleb Williams.
I saw Nick Dunn was released and it ruined my day.
Yeah, that was tough. But
Worst
like
news of the day.
Gould's plugged in, and so like to me, it would feel weird that he was totally blindsided about what was happening. I think he would anticipate some of these changes were coming, and yet he's still been reporting their potential interest in like this tent pole bat that they could acquire via trade. And so that's where I'm like, I feel like there's a wide range of options of how this offseason could go, because if they acquired that kind of bat, it's again, Brett Rooker's the name we keep throwing out there, but he's a pre-arb guy. So he's not like going to make a lot of money. So they could significantly decrease payroll and go after guys like that. I'm not going to bank on it, but I'm sure it's like in the pathways that they have here. It's probably not the most likely though.
Could you imagine if the tentpole bat was Tyler O'Neill?
I would say him and Chaim like missed each other like ships in the night in Boston. They just didn't get to quite overlap.
Or if it was something worse, it was like Jose Siri is the tentpole bat. Like, can you imagine? It would be the most Cardinals thing ever. And Mozeliak would come out and be like, "We have made our organization so much better today. We're so excited to be bringing in a true tentpole bat." He would say the words.
Get ready for Jock Peterson.
Yeah. Or it'd be like Michael Conforto.
Oh my gosh. But honestly, like next year, I'm not super concerned about who they bring in for the 2025 roster, unless it's a guy who you know is going to help you in 2027, 2028. Like we talked about this, and I think to your point, it's still like I would love to see them. Oh gosh, a Taylor Motter reunion.
Yes,
I'd still love them to invest in higher end talent, but like for the pitching specifically, like signing a Max Fried, signing a Corbin Burns, like I mean, obviously we know they're not going to do that, but like even philosophically wise, use a Mo term, I don't think it makes a ton of sense to invest in those big names like that, because you're paying when you do those things for those first couple years mostly, and you're losing basically 2025 already. And so it's like Gray's contract. It's like, well, you paid him $10 million in 2024 and you did nothing, and now you're trying to move him when he's making more money. I don't know. I don't see the point in making big moves right now unless they know for a fact those guys can be a significant part of their future. But Andrew, what happened, man?
I got kicked out of the room I was in because I didn't book it.
Tough.
And now I'm in another room I didn't book, so we'll see what happens. But
I just wanted to let everyone know there's a Cardinals row in the Immaculate Grid today.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
I'm trying to see, is there any other big hitting topics people want us to address? I mean, it feels like Helsley's for sure being traded now. I feel like Amen. It does seem like whoa, I'm echoing in someone's. Like Gray, Contreras, and Otto are not going to be traded unless they sign off on it. So there's a world where like Contreras doesn't want to leave or Gray doesn't want to leave, but I do think they're going to move. Nato's interesting to me because it's like unless the Dodgers want him, I don't think he's going to move, right? So
I hope they've got to trade him.
What are your predictions? Like, let's say the 5 guys, because Michaelis has been named thrown around a lot. Who do you think? How many do you think get moved, and who is it? Of Michaelis, Arenado, Contreras, Gray, and Helsley. Sandy, who do you think?
I think Gray and Helsley are as good as gone.
Okay.
I think Contreras is gone, and I think Michaelis stays. Now it's tough.
Yeah, what are you doing, Holland?
I mean, if it was up to me, I would just trade everybody, but I don't think it's up to me. I think Nolan will still be a Cardinal, but I don't think I would do that.
Andrew, what do you think?
Actually, you know what? No. I think Kareem makes a good point. With the messaging, Arenado wants to be gone. He's gone.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Yeah, I don't know what to say because they're not like they were more clear than they've ever been with the fan base today, but they were also just very not clear about a lot of things that we need
What a
clarity
way
on.
to say it.
I
Here's
mean,
what I kind of think Nolan's staying because I don't think the Dodgers are going to want him.
well, yeah, they have Max Muncy. Actually, they have him for next year, and then they have a club option for the year after. And Max Muncy's been great for them this year.
So, like, why would they want Arenado?
Exactly.
You know? And so then where else would he go?
Or maybe he can play DH for the Dodgers.
What is Ohtani going to do?
Go to opt out of his contract.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
Play the outfield.
Well, I'm sure Max Muncy probably shouldn't be playing second base anytime soon, but I mean, I guess technically he could play second and Arenado play some third or something. I don't know.
Where else could Arenado go? Like Toronto would have made sense at one point, but not anymore.
Houston makes sense to me because they're losing Bregman, probably. But does he want to go there? I mean, it depends on how bad he wants to win.
I guess.
So Anaheim.
What are they going to do with Rendon? I mean, I guess he's not going to play. So
exactly, Rendon.
Arenado, Mike Trout.
As far as I'm considered,
Arenado for Mike Trout, who says no.
Sacramento.
DeWitt.
Go be on the A's next year.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Arenado was the 10th highest selling jersey in all of baseball.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I mean, it's because of the City
high stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll just put Arenado City Connects.
Thinking he'd be here for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, there is a world like where the Dodgers like maybe move Max Muncy to St. Louis for Arenado. It just depends how much they like him, you know, because they like him. They clearly have in the past. It just doesn't make sense now. But like, remember last deadline where all the Dodgers people are like, "Oh, the Dodgers are talking about Arenado." Like, they're
about
trying
the
to
Mets.
Maybe.
That's just one. I'm so sad. I wanted them out of the playoffs so bad. I thought it would have been so funny.
It would have been really funny. What if it was the Mets? What if the Mets gave the Cardinals one of their young third basemen and we ate salary? And we ate salary.
No, they wouldn't do that. Donato, you're not getting anything for.
I just forget how bad he is.
There's no way because you'd have to basically eat the whole contract to get something back.
To get like a Vientos, you'd have to eat. Yeah.
No. Oh, Vientos especially not. I mean, he was
Beatty.
Like insane this year. Maybe Beatty because he's
Beatty wasn't good this year.
But even then, I think
Beatty would be a great change of scenery candidate for St. Louis.
Yeah, but you got to pay. I think you'd have to pay too much, way more than they want to pay of his contract to get something like that. I think they prefer a Nato situation just to move as much money as possible. Gray, I think you might potentially pay it down a little bit more because you could actually get something. Helsley, you're going to get something. And Contreras, I think you get something.
You think Helsley gets you 2 top 100 prospects?
Depends on how desperate someone gets. I could see it though.
What if they were able to move Helsley for like Heston Kjerstad or something? That's probably out of the range of outcomes, but that'd be so exciting. Or like Colton Cowser, probably out of the range of outcomes.
Oh, no way, Colton Cowser. But
what if you moved Helsley and Gray for like Jackson Holiday and you ate half of Gray's salary?
You're not doing that.
I would do it.
I would.
The Orioles wouldn't.
Yeah.
What if you took on like Mountcastle and Westberg?
Isn't Mountcastle like good and Westberg?
You could pay. Well, Mountcastle's making money though now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Helsley's good. Like Helsley is really good.
I think Helsley, you either get like a good guy who is close to MLB ready, or you get a package of lower end stuff or like lower level stuff. I don't think you can get like multiple guys who are MLB ready who are good because it's a closer. Like I just don't think that's happening.
Yeah. He is the best. Like he's a top 2 closer in baseball, though. That needs to be.
Yeah, but with 1 year remaining, Mayo, no shot. There's no shot that Orioles give up a top 10 prospect for him. I don't know. Well,
maybe a nice starter.
Hey, we really appreciate the support today. A lot of people tuning in, super fun. Subscribe if it's your first time watching us. Again, we go live twice. I mean, we've gone live. What is it, like 4 days in a row now?
We've gone live a lot.
Yeah, and Sandy and Kareem will have their prospect episode tomorrow. Like the stream, it helps us out a ton. We really appreciate the support. Share it with people you know. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm gonna keep looking at the comments to see if there's anything that people are wanting to chat through. But any other topics you two want to address?
I'm just ready for us to get into speculative off-season mode. That's my favorite.
I'm ready for the
Man.
playoffs. But
True.
that's
Yeah,
just,
are we gonna watch? Are you guys gonna watch the playoffs? Let's be
yeah.
I'm
real.
gonna watch every.
I don't know how much I'll watch.
And that is it. I will not watch anything else probably. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I watched a bit of the Braves game during lunch. It was pretty uninteresting, and then as soon as I turned it off, they started going crazy.
I'll probably watch like the CS and World Series, but like besides that, I don't know. Also, it's college football season as far as I'm concerned. So. And Baylor hurts me every week. I don't know if there are any college football fans in the chat, but man,
Yes,
it's been a ride for Baylor. Yeah,
Let's
that's
go,
fair.
Kareem. Let's go.
Root for some former Cardinals. But Andrew, what is that hand signal? Don't do that.
Gosh. Hey Sandy, I think what will be funny is like we usually were speculating like, could they do Tyler Glass now? Could they like Yamamoto? Instead we're like, okay, who on earth is gonna give up anything for Nolan Arenado?
If they got Roki Sasaki, they could contend next year on a shorter payroll. But
yeah, because I'm sure Sasaki's like listening to that press conference, like, whoa, St. Louis, here I come.
Bloom massively overpaid Yoshida.
That's true.
And he's like not very good. So maybe he'll massively overpay Sasaki with an extension next year.
Can you do that? Can you like one of those guys you get? Can you extend? Okay.
I don't think
I figured it was probably because I feel like that'd be a loophole people would use. But anyways, well, we appreciate the support tonight. Super fun. Again,
the Tigers and the Cody, the Tigers and the Padres and the Brewers don't have former Cardinals.
Well, the Padres have Mike Schilt.
Yeah, I know. That was my yeah. Well. I don't know.
Oh man. Well, I'm excited for the offseason. I'm excited knowing for sure Bloom is the successor now.
Nice.
Again, Mozeliak staying in his place, not necessarily ideal by any means. It's just a bad move, and especially PR wise, no one's going to trust it. But I do think they're moving in the right directions, even if it's very Cardinals-y and not fully going in the direction you need to. I'm totally okay with 2025 being a transition reset year. I'm okay. I'm definitely okay with Ollie staying in his position. I know we've talked about that. And I mean, I'm excited to see who Bloom hires to be the farm director. I'm excited. It sounds like they'll hire a new GM. So like the Michael Girsch's role next offseason, that Bloom's going to get to choose to do that. I'm excited to see what the young talent does next year. I'm excited to see what they get returns wise on some of these guys. So yeah, there's a lot that's really intriguing for this offseason. So there was a world where we came into this and it was more of the same, and man, that would have been brutal. So yeah, well, we appreciate you guys tuning in to Deal on the Cards. Again, we'll be the Birds on the Farm with Kareem and Sandy's tomorrow, so check that out. We'll maybe be live Wednesday, depending on if we feel like we need to talk more about this. Again, really appreciate you guys' support. You guys make this just so awesome to do. We just love our community. Stay tuned on the community feed on YouTube or on Twitter. We're going to have some surveys going out just to give us some feedback about the podcast. And again, stay tuned all off season. We really appreciate the support. Like, subscribe, help us out a ton. And we'll see you guys next time on Deal on the Cards. Thanks, Chaim.